captures in one soul-stirring moment something that the English language fails to articulate. Zeitgeist. The zeitgeist of our generation is the striving to find a meaning larger than ourselves. Ours is a generation that is attuned to feelings and sensitive to ours is a generation that is sensitive and attuned to feelings of disillusionment and alienation. Ours is a generation that is different from our parents' generation in one crucial respect: the striving to find a meaning larger than ourselves and the ability to choose path that leads to that meaning. Now, this explains a few things. This explains things like our changing voting patterns in the last elections, our tendency to job hop, to quit high-paying jobs, and to do things that shock our parents. Now, that our generation is intimately involved in shaping the spirit of the age can be seen in recent disruption in society. For example, the co-founder of Wikipedia, Jimmy Wales, started this platform at the age of 35, although he has been laying the foundations for an open source knowledge base in his early 30s. The founders of Apple, Google, Facebook, they all began their earth-shattering journeys in their 20s. Now, but what most people are not aware of is that our generation is also intimately involved in making change at the other end of the world, in areas where people are poor, in areas where no profits can be made, and in situations where people say, don't waste time. Now, these are ideas, journeys, and stories that do not make headlines because newspapers like the Straits Times sometimes prefer to put panda-related news on the front page of the paper than talk about things that truly matter. Now, let me give you 3 examples. The world's cheapest solar-powered lamp designed exclusively for the rural market was created by 2 Stanford University students. They sacrificed potentially high-paying jobs to move to India to start their enterprise. Kiva, the world's largest microloan platform for the rural poor, was started by Jessica Jackley at the age of 28. Wendy Fox started Teach for America when she was 23, and he has now spawned similar ideas like Teach for India and Teach for Indonesia. Now, this leads to a question. If you want to start a social innovation project in difficult places, and if you want to sustain this progress, what are the sort of qualities do we need? Now, a quick answer to this question will reveal the 3 usual suspects. Be reasonable, be rational, be qualified. These are qualities that we have been socialized from young to have. These are things that are said to be good in order to get a job done in an organization, and to some extent it makes sense. Because if you want to start tackling a tough problem, it would help if you have a reasonable and rational mind. And if you want to convince people that you have a solution to an issue, it might help if you are qualified. But what if in some situations, these are not what you really need? What if in the area of social innovation in tough places, you need the reverse? What if you actually need this? Be unreasonable, be irrational, don't be qualified. Now, I truly believe that if you want to make an impact on the ground on a regular basis, these are the qualities that you need. Now, the first quality that you need is that you need to be unreasonable. Growing up, we have been said that we should be a person of reason. Let's reason things out. Let's hear people's reason. But reasoning things out may end up justifying weaknesses in the system. It may end up giving us the impression that there is a logical and sound explanation to something that is wrong in society. The trick has always been to attribute the reason to something that is beyond human intervention. For example, by saying that people are poor because they are lazy, absolve us from doing anything. Because how do you solve laziness? By saying that inequality in society is due to globalization, makes the idea of inequality something natural and inevitable, although this may not be the case. Now, Karl Marx once says that reason has always existed, but not always in reasonable form. Being unreasonable does not mean that you refuse to think. It means you refuse to accept established reasons as to why certain things work in society. It means you refuse to accept reasons as to why a problem occurs, and it means you refuse to accept the reason that this is how the world works. Now, we are unreasonable people in the context of what I'm doing. When we first started the project, the village leaders told us that the women will not be able to travel out to sell solar-powered lamps because they have never done so, and why would they do it now? So we literally brought the women to other islands, made them network with other women, and they found the experience to be unforgettable. We then gave them a 3-month transport subsidy to jumpstart their business. Had we been reasonable, we have listened to the village leaders' explanation to how things work, and we would not have approached our project in this way. Now, the second quality that you need is that it is actually quite useful to be irrational. Being irrational is an introspective reflection of cause and benefit, while the rational person aims to maximize effort in return for, while the rational person aims to maximize benefit in exchange for minimal minimal effort, the irrational person will be prepared to maximize his effort and be prepared not to get any reward. Being irrational means you are prepared to make the personal and financial sacrifice required to push a project off the ground without any certainty of success, financial returns, or recognition. It means you let yourself be primarily seduced by the power and beauty of an idea and resisting rational arguments that say this does not make sense. Being irrational helps a lot when things start to make sense. In fact, I believe that many of the speakers here today are irrational in one way or the other. Now, in Singapore, we have grown up with a very narrow view of success. Success means getting a degree, a good, stable job, and eventually one day getting married. And if that marriage is between a man and a woman, even better. Now, not to do all this and yet do something that is full of uncertainty will look irrational to many people, including our parents. And that is why parents never get to change the world. Now, the third quality that I feel is important to have is that it's important that you don't have to be too qualified. Now, one of the ways I try to convince people that I am somehow qualified is to list out my formal qualifications and achievements here. And the idea is that if they sound okay enough, you might find it worth your time to come down and listen to what I have to say. But there is nothing in my biography that has prepared me for what I have to do for MBI or for what I have to do when I'm on the ground. Now, the thing is, there's more stumbling around when you are on the ground. You are learning a lot, you are actually learning on the spot, and you are groping in the dark. Although I do give the impression to my team that I always know what I'm doing all the time. Right? Now, the thing is that if you are trying to tackle a difficult problem like energy poverty, you have to be able to cross the boundaries of knowledge rather than being ideologically entrenched in one particular domain. This means that you must be able to work with a high level of uncertainty and be prepared to learn new things fast. Now, our intervention to the problem of energy poverty has the following intellectual base: elements from design thinking, business, development economics, and sociology. We move around fast and quick across these 4 disciplines and pick up the relevant elements better and faster. Had we been a specialist and had we been trained in only one area, our interpretation of reality would reflect the ideological constraints of that particular discipline. Now, the thing is, there is a danger that as you get some measure of success and as you repeat your work a few times, the boundaries of knowledge transform itself into a funnel. When you enter the knowledge funnel, you fall into the trap of repeating previous patterns of behavior that have shown to be successful in the first place. You begin to have standard operating procedures you begin to hang out with the standard crowd, you begin to speak in the standard language and use standard words. You are now considered qualified and even an expert, but in the process, you will lose your ability, you will lose something more, your ability to innovate. Now, the three qualities that I mentioned here, be unreasonable, be irrational, and don't be qualified, these are considered to be deviant qualities because they disturb the normal way in which society functions. They challenge norms. At their very minimal, they can cause irritation to people around you, but at their purest, they can create disruption to the way things work. And it is only through disruption that meaningful social change can happen. Therefore, the next time you have an idea and someone said, don't waste time, be unreasonable and ignore that. Thank you.